Okay, I did my presentation over the president's psychological characteristics, basically focusing more on Barber's ideas. James Barber had a couple types of typology, basically four of them. These included the an active negative, active positive, and passive positive. The active negative is compulsive, basically powers as a mean to self-realization. Driven, they have a problem managing their own aggression, and they're basically, an aggressive president. Another one, passive negative, basically they're withdrawn. They respond to a sense of duty, avoid power, very low self-esteem. So these presidents are, not too motivated individuals. They kind of just let everything just go. Active positives, very adaptive, self-confident. They use the powers and the means to benefit the people. Active positive president will use like to decrease taxes to help the economy or stuff like that. Excuse me. Passive positive, basically they complain, compliant, seek to be loved, eager to, yeah, but they are easily manipulated, and they have very low self-esteem. Barber's theory, basically, these four categories, each president could fit into these four categories. The problem that I noticed when I was doing research is that a president could actually fit into multiple of these categories, especially with of a president having multiple terms. I focused a lot on George W. Bush and his presidency, and noticing that Bush could have actually been in two of these categories. President Bush, just a little history, was president from January 2001 to 2008. The two categories that you can easily put him in is active positive and passive positive. Basically, these characteristics he really shows. Kind of one during one of his during one of his terms, and another one during his second terms. So we will continue to see other examples of President Bush's, active positive and passive positive. Bush as an active positive. Bush first task showed he was a confident guy that used power to benefit others. The self-confident really showed on September 11th on the tax of the United States, which, when I was actually in high school, and you could actually see his confidence. He was determined president. When he was at the Congress, he just had that bold thing about him. How you wanted that president, you want to have him. He was self-confident, and he used his power to say, we're going to get these guys. And like I said, this really showed when he was in the joint conference. He put a lot of fear into. Even during the event, it would put a lot of fears into our hearts. But when he made that talk, it kind of melted away, and I felt more confident in his abilities to be president. He also benefited us in 2001 with his massive tax cut, so he kind of benefited the individuals to show that he is an adaptive president, to show he's an active, positive individual. Now, Bush can be also described as a passive positive. During his second term, the Iraq War was dragging out, and a lot of Americans were upset about this war. This war just continued and continued, and there was really no end in sight. On March 17, 2003, Bush informed the American people about the weapons of mass destruction that Iraq had, and he showed that they were capable of using these. And so we really needed to go into there and to create we needed to go in there and get these weapons. He also called the Iraq the evil empire that helped aid, trained, and harbored the terrorists that did these attacks on America in 9/11. So he showed that we need to go in there. However, on the 31st of August 2005, all of a sudden President Bush gave us a different reason for the Iraq War. There were no weapons of mass destruction when we've been in there for a couple years. We took Saddam Hussein, we we kicked him out, and we couldn't find any of these weapons. So he went from basically weapons of mass destruction to spreading democracy around the world. Another issue that Bush had to show his passive positivism was that his running of his cabinet efficiently. He was very easily manipulated by other people around him, causing his administration to become extremely inefficient. And this caused a lot of issues, especially during the Iraq conflict that we had. And it created a sense of, there wasn't an individual in charge. According to James Pfeiffer, Chief of Staff Andrew Card was in control of managing the White House. However, if you were a part of the White House area, you could see that Vice President Cheney was obviously the leading person, basically short of Bush. So, it showed that Cheney was, manipulating Bush. Cheney had a key part in the change which he directed and in the administration of early domestic and foreign policy. So Cheney was really more of a hands-on vice president that caused a lot of issues. Um, Bush, however, believed Cheney was doing a wonderful job. Cheney's, and one person asked why, and Cheney's like, Bush said, well, because Cheney told me so. So it shows the inefficiency about, President Bush and his cabinet. There was also another little thing that was in Pfeiffer. Uh, for the first, basically, a lot of the officials were cautious to even address the vice president, basically because Bush had that trust in Cheney, but Cheney was manipulating him. So it could show that Bush had some low self-esteem and stuff like that. Basically, I just looked at President Bush. Now, this could be any other president because Barber has, all these modern presidents ranked in these four categories, and I really focused on George W. Bush. But you could also focus on, like Bill Clinton, Richard Nixon. You can also focus on John F. Kennedy because John F. Kennedy was put in the active positive area. However, he had some problems managing, some aggression, and he, had some issues. So, I mean, this shows that, Barber had some good ideas about these categories, but, each president can go into a multiple category section, which would cause, us to realize, the characteristics of the president. So, basically, we need to basically as time goes on, we kind of need to look at the character of the president and see what kind of domestic and foreign foreign policies he has.